So White House Chief of Staff Denis McDonough defending President Obama on a wide range of issues and fueling claims that the president may be living in a different world than the rest of America.
Does President Obama realize that he lost the midterm election?
What the president realizes, and he laid this out in the speech last night, is that over the course of now decades, middle-class families in this country have faced unrelenting pressure as costs go up while wages stagnate.
Not really answering that question there. Katie Pavlik is the news editor for townhall.com and a Fox News contributor. Marianne Marsh is a former senior advisor to Secretary John Kerry. Welcome. Good to have both of you here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Marianne, that was sort of an odd answer. He just started talking about the middle class, and you know, the president himself said that his policies were on the ballot, and I would assume that means the way that he's handled the economy, among other things. And it appears that the American people didn't like the way he was doing things.
Well, that was the 2014 election. We're on to 2016. And the 2016 election is much tougher for Republicans. They're desperate to win the White House. They have to defend 24 Senate seats. And as Karl Rove said in an interview earlier with you, Martha, the turnout's going to be much, much higher. So unless they compromise on some issues like taxes and income inequality, they're going to lose all of them. And McConnell knows it. Boehner knows it. One or two Republicans running for president know it. And President Obama knows it most of all.
All right, so basically Denis McDonough said that it's all about the middle class for this next election. I think Marianne's right, that that's where the conversation has already moved, which is unbelievable, but I think true. So, Katie, you know, where is your side going to compromise on taxes and economic inequality?
You know, I think that Republicans for the past couple of years have done a lot of compromising when it comes to President Obama's agenda. And after years of the president accusing Republicans in the House of being a do-nothing Congress, now we're going to move forward in the next 2 years, which do matter. Let's put 2016 aside for a minute. The next 2 years do matter, and the White House's decisions do matter. And the president's not going to do anything. It's going to be a do-nothing White House. And the bottom line with middle class is that the middle class has been significantly deflated under Barack Obama's policies. The economy is not where it should be after 6 years of those policies, and for him to say that he now wants to give the middle class a bunch of free stuff that's not really free isn't going to solve the problem. The middle class doesn't need the government to help them. They need the government to get out of the way so they can prosper.
So let's talk about how he wants to help the middle class, Marianne, because it comes back to this issue of raising taxes and moving the money from people who have more of it to people who have less of it. But my question for you, and it's one that Chris Wallace brought up in this interview yesterday, what percentage do you think would be fair if everybody's going to give their fair share for the wealthy? What percentage, they're already paying 55% in most cases, what percentage above that do you think is fair?
Well, two things, Martha. First and foremost, I think you can close a lot of loopholes, which would make the tax system much more fair. And second of all, let's go back to the tax rates under Ronald Reagan. Republicans love Ronald Reagan. They loved his economics. They loved everything that happened when Ronald Reagan was president. Let's go back to those tax rates.
No, but you didn't answer my question, and neither did Denis McDonough.
28.5.
So what percentage do you think is fair?
For the upper income, 28.5.
Oh, in many cases, they pay 55% as it is when you combine state and federal taxes. So, you know, if you want to give away more than half your paycheck and you think that's fair and those people really ought to give more, I think there's a lot of people that would disagree with that. You know, Katie, I watched on Cavuto the other day. They went out into the street and asked people the same question. How much is fair? Because the president talks all the time about a fair share. And people said, I don't know, 20%, 25%, that would be fair. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, the bottom line, Martha, is that taking from the so-called rich, which, by the way, the president in his State of the Union and in his address and his chief of staff make it sound really like they're going to give the middle class a tax break, right? But in the end, it's the middle class is going to pay for all of the spending that the taxes from the rich can never make up. You know, taking from the rich and giving to others has never been something that has worked out. It's not going to work under President Obama. It hasn't worked throughout history. And the president's move on this to bring back this class warfare rhetoric further solidifies that he is more interested in cementing his legacy with the American left rather than with the American people as a whole. And we're going to see that for the next 2 years through his actions at the White House.
John Boehner said that idea is dead on arrival. So I think, Marianne, you're right. I don't think a whole heck of a lot is going to happen over the next 2 years on any of this. And I think that's too bad for the country. So we'll see. Marianne, Katie, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Always a